Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining in this special class on finding happiness in these challenging times. Now, like usual, we'll start with a beginning meditation just to calm the mind, release any tensions and stresses, so that our mind is completely in the present moment, able to contemplate new ideas. We also like to mention that what is being presented is based on logical reasoning. So if you have any questions or concerns, if there's any explanations that are unclear, then please send your questions to guide@personalmeditationguide.com. Please take a comfortable meditation posture in which you can be both relaxed and alert. Make sure that your back is straight, but not tense. Place your hands in your lap and partially close your eyes. Now just take a few moments to let all the tension in your mind and in your body fall away. Now create a positive intention or motivation to use this meditation to calm your mind, to clear your mind, so that it benefits yourself and all those around you. Now bring your attention gently and peacefully to the tip of your nostrils, the sensation of coolness as you inhale and warmth as you exhale. Do not try to control your breathing. Just engage in the tactile sensation of the breath at the tip of your nostrils, and let every other feeling or thought fall away. Let everything else dissolve except the sensation of the breath at the tip of your nostrils. Now turn your attention inward and imagine that your mind is like the sky and that your thoughts and feelings are like clouds. Just as clouds form and disperse within the sky, your thoughts and feelings appear and dissolve within your mind. So just watch as your thoughts appear and dissolve within the space of your mind. Do not hold on to anyone in particular. Just watch. And just as when all the clouds disperse to reveal the clarity of the sky, which is empty like space, free from obstruction, and limitless, so let all your thoughts and feelings dissolve and come to see the clarity of your mind, which is just like a clear blue sky, empty like space, free from obstruction, and limitless. And once you have found the clarity of your mind, meditate on this experience and enjoy the peace of mind that it evokes. And if any other thoughts arise, just let them dissolve, just like a cloud that disperses in the sky, and come back to the clarity of your mind, which is just like a clear blue sky. And now, before rising from meditation, make a determination to maintain this clarity of mind so that it influences everything you think, say, and do. And now you can gently rise from meditation. So, as we can see of these current circumstances, they can be very challenging for many of us. We might be feeling many negative emotions from fear, panic, anxiety, and worry, from depression, just being downhearted, bored, feeling of hopelessness, isolation, and loneliness. Because from one day, from going about our normal activities to the next, where we're forced to stay inside for long periods of time, maybe longer than we've ever had before. And it kind of puts a lot of things into question if we actually stop and question our reality. Maybe we question the system. Maybe we question our sense of well-being as we are no longer able to do what we normally used to do. We find ourselves confined as if we were never confined like this before. And what are we left to do? Or maybe we have loved ones on the other side of the planet that are stuck there in another country. Or maybe we are that person in this other country far away from our family. And what can we do? Do we fall in despair or not? Do we get, do we remain in fear or not? Now, from one perspective, you could see it as an opportunity, kind of like a forced retreat to go look inside your mind and take this as an opportunity to actually train your mind. Because from not being able to do the things that we normally did, then how do we feel good about ourselves? How do we make ourselves feel good? And maybe we could see some videos being posted, social media, of people finding creative ways to entertain themselves. Or maybe we just start binge watching on movies and shows and series. But do they really bring us happiness? Or are we just escaping reality? Because once these are over, what happens? Do we just fall back in these negative states of mind? So this is where it brings us to this opportunity to actually question reality, to question, where does happiness really come from? Can I be happy? Is it possible to be happy? in these challenging times, in these difficult times. So what does actually bring us happiness? If we can't go to a restaurant anymore, and if we can't meet with our friends and family anymore, if we can't go to movie theaters or any other activity we do with other people, are we forsaken or not? So let's take this opportunity to actually re-question these fundamentals. What is happiness? And what is suffering? Because when we look at our outside world, maybe that's all we see. We see suffering all around us. We see people contracting this virus, getting sick and dying, and any other ailment. Just because this virus is the current pandemic, there's a lot of other diseases that are happening that we've never taken notice of. And there are some places on the planet that are where individuals and people are suffering much more than we are. We're in our comforts, the comfort of maybe our own home. So what do we see? Can we really find inner peace and happiness? Because we usually have this strong belief that we need all these things, all our enjoyments to be happy, and that to be free from suffering, none of these problems and diseases should exist. But is that realistic? We often think that won't happen to me. Is that realistic? Because our external world, if we look at it, is completely out of our control. Because we wouldn't have chosen to stay isolated. We would just be going through the normal motions of our daily lives. So let's take this step back, this honest step back, and re-question, where does happiness really come from? And where does suffering really come from? Because we usually have this strong belief that they are coming from our external circumstances. I need this and this to be happy. And I shouldn't have this and I don't want that because I'll suffer if I do. But happiness is really just a state of mind. And why that's important is we have to come to understand that it is only from our internal states of mind from which happiness and suffering actually stem from, are created from. And just saying this puts us at odds of our core fundamental beliefs and the fundamental beliefs of the majority of the people on this planet. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so much hoarding like we see nowadays. So where does happiness really come from? Now, to show a counter example, a very simple analogy that demonstrates very easily that happiness does not come from our external circumstances. And what's important is to base ourselves back on the logic and the reasoning of cause and effect, very simple cause and effect that we understand very clearly from external perspective. Because if I put water in the freezer, I understand that I'll get ice every single time. So we create the causes and conditions, and we have no doubt in the effect that will arise. Absolutely no doubt. So there's no chance that we will get boiling water, the opposite effect. So therefore, we must be able to find this with regards to happiness as well. So in order to prove through logical reasoning and through personal experience that happiness does not come from our external circumstances, we could just take food, for example. That there's a particular food that we like, that maybe we get cravings for and we turn to when we're not feeling well or when we're a bit down. So we eat this food and we feel a bit better. But if it was a true cause of well-being, inner peace, and happiness, it would mean that if I repeat the cause, I would get the same effect, just like water in the freezer. But if I keep eating that food back to back and I don't stop, we'll soon be disgusted and have a stomach ache and be completely revolted by this food. So then the question we should ask ourselves is, how can something start off as a cause of well-being, of making us feel better, and after a certain number of times, it is now a cause of disgust and revolt? Basically, two completely opposing effects. And if we come back to the law of cause and effect, the same cause should always create the same effect. And we could change this food for any other activity, be it drugs, sex, seeing family, seeing other people, our friends, vacation, our jobs, our home, money, so on and so forth. And this just goes to show from a very simple thought experiment that if we could go further than that, we could actually look in our personal experiences that this is true, that it wasn't really a lasting cause of happiness, and it wasn't always creating happiness. And this is just simple enough for us to refute, to come to understand that these external circumstances and things and objects and pleasures are not actually a true cause of happiness. And we could use the same thought experiment for suffering. Let's say something that we have broke. And at the beginning, we feel awful about it. We're suffering because this thing that we cherish so much broke. There was really something that we cared for, and it broke. But as time goes by and our mind changes a bit, we could now maybe laugh at it or see it as that it wasn't that bad. Once again, how is it possible for this external thing to be the actual cause of suffering? We come to see that it wasn't, after all. That really the underlying point of suffering was not this external circumstance, but was in the way we were interpreting this external circumstance. So as you can see, happiness and suffering are actually not being caused and created by our external circumstances. But maybe at the moment, we strongly feel that they do. So this is what we were questioning in this class. Why? Because maybe we don't have access to everything we used to before. And that we're saying that these are not the causes of happiness to begin with. Because if we refuted that external circumstances are not the cause of happiness nor suffering, so if we say not external, then what's left? Internal. And what is internal? Internal is our mind. We don't have to go anywhere. It is all happening in our mind. It is the way we are interpreting, seeing these situations. It is based on our beliefs, but it is not based in reality. So when we're feeling fear, panic, or anxiety, or worry, these underlying feelings are coming from a mind that wishes for an external circumstance not to happen. Because our happiness is put into these external circumstances. So if this external circumstance breaks or changes, our happiness will go away with it. So we fear the loss of this external circumstance. So this state of mind, this belief that happiness comes from our external circumstance, is the actual cause of our suffering. Because if we wouldn't depend on this external circumstance for our happiness, then there would be no chance for it to be destroyed by its loss. So happiness comes from within, comes from these states of mind, and not from our external circumstances. And this does not contradict with our ability to love and our ability to feel compassion. Because what is love? In its simplest form, is just a wish for others to be happy. Whereas the idea that our happiness comes from external circumstance is a selfish mind. It's a mind that's only thinking about oneself. So if we remove this underlying belief that my happiness depends on externals, and our mind is directed to others, wishing others to be happy, we are indeed at peace, because we're no longer keeping these cravings within our mind. These cravings that say, I need this and I want that. I need to get this. Otherwise, I cannot be fulfilled and satisfied. And actually letting go of all these cravings, and these belief systems, they actually keep us from wishing others to be happy and to be compassionate, wishing others to be free from suffering. and our ability to help others, not only in an external point of view, but also to help others find fearlessness and inner peace and courage to face these difficult circumstances. And this also comes into play when we look at our loneliness, our isolation. Our loneliness, that feeling of loneliness, is coming from the belief that our happiness depends on seeing other people, on being physically next to these people we care about, people we wish to be happy, people we love. But if we were to let go of our cravings to have these people next to us, and we would only keep the wish for them to be happy and to be peaceful in their mind, our loneliness would disappear as well. So this goes to show that all these negative feelings that we might be feeling come from these basic belief systems. The two basic beliefs that our happiness and suffering are coming from our external circumstances. And without these basic beliefs, if we would let go of these beliefs, we would see that our mind would naturally become more peaceful. And we would feel this inner sense of joy. Because there's nothing pulling at us to do things, forcing us, believing that we cannot feel good about ourselves if we don't get this or that, or we don't want this or that. Now, of course, again, it does not contradict being careful. It actually comes naturally to be careful to others so that we do isolate ourselves to not spread the current virus. Because we no longer have this incessant need to go out of our way to actually see others. We are happy being in isolation, confined. It's out of care for others that we stay at home. And we're at peace for doing so. And we help others find this inner peace for staying at home as well, being isolated, and to maybe stay where they are so that they don't risk themselves to get the virus and spreading it either. So this is only possible out of love and through letting go of the belief that external circumstances are the cause of our happiness and suffering. And you could see that letting these go will also help in the let go of the belief that we need to hoard as much, that we should share as a community and help each other out and use only what's necessary so that not a single person ends up with more than what they can use, whereas another has absolutely nothing. Because now we no longer have this fear that if we miss out, we won't be well, we'll suffer. So therefore, we could use these challenging times to really question these fundamentals in our mind that will have a real impact in our lives, a long-lasting impact that will make us happier from within, that no matter where we go, we will bring happiness with us, no matter how challenging the times will be. And if we look at the causes and conditions of this world, we can only foresee the current trend is that these disasters will keep happening at a faster rate and at a growing intensity, from natural disasters to more pandemics and so on and so forth. And therefore, we are using this challenging time, this difficult time, as an opportunity for growth, as opposed to just falling in despair and staying in front of a binge watching on series or just scrolling incessantly over social media, and feeling that we've really wasted our time. How long does it take before you end up feeling that you've wasted your time? Imagine yourself scrolling down some social media outlet, just consuming, just scrolling down and down and down. At one point, our mind just becomes numb. And do we ever think that was a complete waste of time? So again, we have to use these present circumstances to awaken from these faulty belief systems, to re-question these faulty belief systems, and help us find this inner peace, and therefore having the ability to help others. The more we're self-centered about ourselves, the more we will create suffering for ourselves. This mind of selfishness is a necessary condition mixed with the belief that happiness and suffering come from external circumstances that will create suffering. Because our I, our greed, our ego is very present, believing I need this, I need that, I can't go without, and I can't go with this. But if our mind was actually turned towards others, turned towards not wanting others to suffer, helping the people that are risking their lives every day on the front line, helping those that are truly in need, and not going out of our way and spreading this disease, this virus. So it's extremely important to train our mind. Because the other thing that's important once we start understanding that happiness and suffering are really states of mind, and that their causes are really not found outside the mind, then the question is, what do we do? What can we do? And the answer is simple. We need to change our mind. We need to train our mind. We need to learn to think differently. And as you can see, if we go back to cause and effect, the states of minds that cause happiness are love, the wish for others to be happy. That's very simple definition. Compassion, the wish for others to be free from suffering. The mind of patience, the one that accepts our reality for what it is, and working with the present circumstances, not wishing for them to be other than what they are. It's patience and acceptance. The mind of giving, mind that is generous, It will be a peaceful mind. And we don't necessarily have to give things. We could give wisdom, helping people overcome negative states of mind. So the states of mind that we've just enumerated, we can see that if we repeat them, they actually always create happiness and inner peace, and therefore follows the law of cause and effect. And if we flip them, if we take their negatives, we could actually come to see that they always cause suffering. So hatred, anger, rejection, meaning rejecting what is, rejecting that this present circumstance is what is. Jealousy, greed, miserliness. Imagine someone that's hoarding, and we come to take a pack of whatever they have in surplus. And we've seen this on the video. People get into fights. They're not well in their mind. They're not feeling well. They're scared. So we can see that if we repeat these states, if we maintain these negative states of mind, they cause suffering every single time. And therefore it follows again the law of cause and effect. Just to come to really understand that happiness and suffering really come from within. And to make this all possible, we absolutely have to train our mind. There's no way around that. And this is where these teachings that we've been posting on Personal Meditation Guide are there for that. Because sometimes we don't have access to training our mind, to a place that trains our mind. We don't know where to go. Therefore, these teachings being recorded means that you could re-listen to them over and over and over again. And the reason why do we need to listen to them over and over again is because we need to repeat. We need to undo these faulty belief systems, always based using logical reasoning. And only through repetition can we undo these negative bad habits, these negative mental habits. They won't happen by themselves. We need to train ourselves to think differently. And therefore, being at home is giving us this wonderful opportunity to actually do this, to sit down and actually contemplate and meditate and retrain our mind to find this inner peace. Therefore, we urge everybody to use this special moment, these challenging times, to reflect on happiness and suffering, and to use this time to actually train our mind, to undo these negative states of mind that always perpetuate our own suffering and have a lasting effect in our external world. We become less greedy or helping, even if it's not from a physical perspective, but we help others in finding inner peace and being at peace at home. And nowadays we're given this wonderful opportunity to connect with others through technology that give us this opportunity to help others in ways that we couldn't have imagined before. So we should feel grateful for these opportunities instead of feeling despair and hopelessness. And knowing that happiness and suffering are actually created by our own mind and the way we think gives us a certain power. It gives us a big power because it gives us the power to actually create happiness and to let go of our suffering so that no matter what happens from an external standpoint, we could always be at peace. No matter what we need to do from an external standpoint, no matter how difficult the times are and what the difficult physical things we need to do, our mind can remain peaceful while we're doing it. So being peaceful doesn't mean we're passive and we're just watching. Not at all. Having this inner peace gives us strength, this strong inner mind that is able to face any challenges and live up to those challenges and help out during these challenges. So we must see it as a strong mind because it is. And this strong mind can only be attained through learning to control our mind. Because if our mind goes into this craving, I need this, I can't live without, our mind has the ability to let go of this craving, to simply let it go. And we could just think about it for a moment and imagine all these cravings just disappearing. We could imagine the sense of inner peace that instills itself within our mind. We could feel it just by imagining it. Imagine all those cravings, all those worries, all those fears would simply dissolve. We could just simply let them go. And we could kind of touch, feel, and experience our mind becoming lighter, more peaceful. And therefore, this ability to control our mind is what we need to practice. And this can only be done through meditation. Only by training our mind. There is no other method. And if maybe you're not convinced of that at the moment, therefore we encourage you to keep contemplating logically and reasonably and to question these fundamental beliefs that we take for granted. So in this ending meditation, we will take a moment to really reflect upon sources of happiness and suffering. That we actually have the power to create our happiness and to let go of our suffering. No one else. That power is not given to anybody else. It's internal. It's in our mind. We're no longer at the whim of our external circumstance. Things go good, we're good. But if things go bad, we're on the floor. We're in the ground. So let's take back this power. And this can only be done by reflecting upon the sources of happiness and suffering. So that it touches our heart. So that the next time these cravings appear, or this worry, this fear, this hopelessness, and this isolation, or this loneliness appear, we could bring back this wisdom into our mind. Say, wait, happiness and suffering are not coming from these external circumstances. It's the way I'm relating to them, the way I'm thinking about them. Either I'm rejecting them, causing me to suffer, or I accept them, which causes me to feel peace of mind. Either I obsess about having something, or I let go about that craving. And therefore, inner peace instills itself once again. So, this ending meditation is to really gain a stronger understanding of this belief. Happiness and suffering are not caused by external circumstances, but are caused by inner states of mind. And then we will end. There's a two-part meditation to this. And then we will end with a determination to train our mind, to meditate, to put a meditation practice in our lives so that we can instill this inner peace on an ongoing basis, not only when we're meditating, not on a day-to-day basis. And what's important about a meditation on a determination. So instead of having a determination to indulge in our cravings, and so we could understand what a determination is. Imagine we really want something, let's say a particular food. Maybe we're ready to go great lengths to get it. But this feeling starts within our mind. There's this strong desire that wishes to attain it. Now, instead of having this uncontrolled desire for this external circumstance that will only be completely meaningless because it will not fulfill our void, it will just be a temporary fix, and then we just fall back down into despair, to the next craving. So instead of having this desire for this external circumstance that causes nothing but just future suffering, we create this strong desire to want to meditate. So determination is this, there's this movement in our heart that says, I really want. So this is a controlled desire. We are controlling this desire. We are creating it because we understand how meaningful it is. Meaningful in the sense that it creates happiness. And therefore, once we feel this strong desire, this determination, that is the object of meditation. So that being said, I invite you all to take a comfortable meditation posture in which you can be both relaxed and alert. Make sure that your back is straight, not tense. Place your hands in your lap and partially close your eyes. Now just take a few deep breaths just to calm the mind, release any tensions, stress. And now contemplate the following. Happiness and suffering are states of mind. Therefore, their causes cannot be found outside the mind. Just as food is not the cause of happiness nor suffering, knowing this, the power of creating happiness is within my own mind. Come to contemplate over and over again that happiness and suffering are caused by states of mind and not external circumstances. We could use the analogy of the food and remember to always use the law of cause and effect, that the effect is definite from its cause. So if I maintain the mind of love, compassion, patience, acceptance, generosity, they will always create inner peace and well-being. Whereas if I maintain the mind of greed, miserliness, hatred, anger, rejection of what is, they always create suffering. So our mind is actually the creator of our happiness and suffering, not our external circumstance. So keep contemplating this. Come to see the implications in your lives. Happiness and suffering come from within, come from the states of mind we encourage and we cultivate. So keep contemplating this point until there's a movement in your heart that dislodges the belief that happiness and suffering come from our external circumstances. And this based on logic and reason. So come to feel this knowledge, experience this truth. Look into your personal experiences. of realizing this, knowing that happiness and suffering are, are caused by states of minds. Therefore, come to the conclusion, come to see that the only way to be happy and free from suffering is to learn to control the mind, to train the mind. Therefore, if I want to be happy all the time, I must learn to control my mind. I must train my mind. I must meditate. So from this conviction that we have the power to create a happiness and suffering for ourselves, we create a strong determination, strong desire to want to meditate, to want to train the mind, to learn to cultivate these states of minds that cause happiness, and to let go of the states of mind that cause suffering. And once we have this strong determination, make it personal. Meaning, what will I start doing as of now to train my mind? Once a day, I will train my mind. 10 minutes a day, something realistic, so that it becomes tangible in your life. This strong determination becomes a tangible desire, something that you could start doing based on the knowledge and wisdom and the logic, the reason that happiness and suffering come from within. Therefore, I must train my mind if I want to be happy. I must train my mind. Keep repeating till you have that strong desire to train your mind. And now, before rising from meditation, dedicate all the positive energy and wisdom you have accumulated here to each and every living being. You can imagine your loved ones, those close to you, friends and family, and try to bring in all living beings if possible. Everybody. Bring them all in the space before you. And give them this energy, this wisdom, so that they too can find and realize this inner peace and happiness. And rejoice in giving it to them. And now at your own pace, you can gently rise from meditation. Thank you. We do hope you enjoyed this session. Please feel free to send any questions or comments to guide@personalmeditationguide.com and to share this wisdom if you find it appropriate and helpful. And I hope you are all safe and stay peaceful in your mind. Thank you.